Hello YouTube, I'm your Huckleberry, and this is the Lionsteel DOM. And let's get into some specs. We're looking at 6.6 inches overall with a 2.8 inch blade. We're looking at a blade thickness, stock thickness of 0.09 on the thickness there. You can see it gets thinner right there. And we have an M390 blade, as you can see there, and it is in a sheep's foot style with a flat grind and a satin finish. This is, of course, a slip joint, so there is no locking mechanism. It does have a spring there for some tension, but it does not lock. And it does have a half stop right there. Right there is the half stop, and then you go all the way. And it does have titanium liners and titanium bolsters, as you can see there. And this is ram's horn on the scales, or I believe the traditional knife community calls those covers, but that is ram's horn there. All right, let's get a weight of the DOM, which I believe is the first traditional knife that I've featured on the channel. We got a weight of about 2.2 ounces, so a nice lightweight carry there. Nothing too heavy at all, which is good because it doesn't have a pocket clip, so it's gonna have to, you're either gonna have to get like a belt sheath or put it in a leather slip, maybe something like that, because there is no pocket clip because it's a traditional style folder. Let's do some size comparisons. So here it is, the DOM against the Kershaw Leek, which you can see there. It is smaller than the Leek, both in terms of blade length and overall length, and just kind of terms of overall profile. It's just it's slimmer than the Leek. Here it is against a large Benchmade Griptilian, and it is much smaller than the large Griptilian there. There you go. And then let's do our Para 3 and PM2 comparisons, so you can get a feel for it there. So definitely, again, smaller than both of these. Definitely than the PM2, but also smaller than the Para 3. All right, so there's you some size comparisons. And let's get into the pros and cons of the Lionsteel DOM. The first thing I'm going to kind of mention here is just kind of not really a pro or a con, just kind of a statement, I guess. I like traditional folders. I like the nostalgia of them. There are, there are, of course, better options. I mean, the Para 3, in terms of overall, is probably going to be a better option. It can do more. But in terms of what probably most of us can get away with carrying it, if we're really honest with ourselves and, and what we use our knives for, a lot of us could get away with carrying something like this and be just fine, because this is going to open all your packages fine. This is going to, cut the, little strings fine. This is, just kind of the things that you use your knife for every day. As long as you're not your job or whatever doesn't require a hard user, this is going to get the most cutting tasks done. This is going to be able to cut open your fruit, or cut your sandwich in half, those types of things. This is going to be just fine. You don't need a locking blade. And the fact that this is not a locking blade makes this legal in most places. The fact that the blade is under 3 inches and it is non-locking, this type of knife is going to be legal in most places in the United States and even around the world, because world knife laws a lot of times tend to be harder than a lot of USA laws. And even though some states have pretty strict knife laws, you're going to get around just about every law with a knife like this. The Lionsteel DOM is going to be pretty much world legal. So that's a good. So that is a pro there. This is going to be a world legal knife. I like that it is a traditional folder that uses modern materials. So I like the materials because you got titanium here and in the liners, which help with weight. You got M390 on the blade steel. So that's definitely a modern steel. But you still got a touch of nostalgia, you know, and kind of a nod to the old traditional folders with a natural material in the ram's horn on the covers here, on the scales. And so that's nice because you get all the convenience of modern materials, because a lot of traditional folders, the blade is going to be a carbon steel, which carbon steel is good because it'll get sharp, and they're usually generally pretty easy to sharpen, but they will corrode. They're not very corrosion resistant when it comes to carbon steel blades. And so you're getting an M390, which is about as stainless as it gets these days. That's about as stainless and corrosion resistant as you can get, but it can still get really, really sharp, and this knife is sharp. This knife is very sharp. So you still get, you're getting a nice modern steel, but in a classical form, a classic slip joint form. I like a lot of case knives, you know, and they use stainless steel. They call it surgical stainless, and you know, and they come with the they'll come with a lot of times with bone or wood handles. But this is definitely a step above, you know, a case knife. This is really a step above most slip joint knives. This is the nicest slip joint knife I've ever had, for sure. And there's a lot of companies. I know we just released a couple of different modern slip joint knives with modern materials, and there's several other companies doing it as well. You know, where you're getting this, you get to have the kind of cool nostalgia factor of a slip joint knife, because most of us probably know either a grandfather or a father, someone great-grandfather who carried a knife like this with them every day to, you know, to do for their pocket knife, and it treated them just fine. They didn't have the advantage of kind of the modern tactical folders or whatever. They had these, and they did just fine with them. And so you get kind of that nostalgia factor with these really nice modern materials. And so that's kind of that was kind of a rambling pro there, but that was a pro. And also, before I forget, I can't believe I haven't mentioned it before this, I need to thank Brandon, who is a viewer of the channel, who sent this in along with a couple of other knives for me to review, who allowed me to review them. And so thank you very much, Brandon, for sending this in for review. I appreciate it very much. Okay, so let's get into more of the pros and cons. The fit and finish. The fit and finish on this is about as good as it can get. Nice, it feels good in hand, absolutely zero hot spots. Like I said, you got the nice hot half stop there. It feels just really good in hand. The bone is nicely finished. The titanium is nicely finished. It matches up well there, which is hard to do with a natural material, because natural materials will swell and will expand and contract with the weather and things like that. And so it's really nice that, you know, it matches up about as well as you could expect with a natural material. And I mean, you can just see right there, I mean, it just looks nice. It's just well finished. That's all there is to it. Everything is nice and chamfered, and there's no sharp corners, no hot spots. It's just really, really nicely finished. So that's a good job there, Lionsteel, on the finish. This is a slicey knife. It is sharp. I don't know if Brandon has sharpened this in the time that he has had it. If he did a fantastic job, but it looks like a factory edge to me. So I would assume this is the factory edge. And I know that Brandon carries this quite a bit. He told me he carries this quite a bit, so it's probably seen some use, but it is still just super sharp. And that's what you get with M390. You can get a really, really good edge that is going to last a long time with M390. And so that's, I mean, it is slicey, it is thin. This is going to just cut through tape like nothing, paper like nothing. It's going to cut through your sandwich like nothing. You know, it is a good slicer, and I like knives that cut. The price on this guy is $125 for titanium and M390 and ram's horn and something that's this well finished. I think $125 is a good price. It is a good price because if you told me this cost, I always like to play this game where I was like, how much would I pay for it? You know, before I say, oh, that might be a little expensive. 150 would probably be no problem. 175, still I would say, yep, that's probably worth it. Probably up to $200, honestly. I would say that, okay, for the materials that you're getting and this level of fit and finish and everything with the way that it's so nicely ground and all of that, I would say, you know, it's that $200 would be a fair price, but it's $125. So I think that's a really, really good deal, in my opinion. If traditional knives are, you like the traditional knife style, but you want modern materials, I would definitely go for a DOM here. The blade shape. I always like the sheep's foot kind of Wharncliffe style blade shape. And this is just good. It's just a good utility style blade. It's a good utility blade shape. And this is definitely it. It is a good utility blade shape. You get a little bit of a point there. I like how it comes down to a bit of a point. And so you can, you know, it's a little bit, you know, it's not the stabbiest thing in the world, of course, but it doesn't need to be. Traditional folders, that's not what they're meant for. But this will definitely, you know, handle all your cutting needs. The opening, it's not, you know, a lot of times with traditional folders, you get what they call a nail breaker. You know, they have the kind of the long nail nick here that you can use to get in there, get your thumbnail in there and open it. And sometimes you'll get a nail breaker where it is just so hard. The spring tension is so high that it's just hard to get that open. This is not the case here. It has about the perfect amount of tension for me because you can use it with the nail nick and get it open, or because this is so thin right here, you can just pinch it open, do a pinch grip and open that just fine. Like I said, with the half stop, I like on traditional folders that they have that half stop there and then close, snaps close. It's just nice. This is just a nice knife, guys. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's nice. As far as cons go, I looked and looked and looked, and I tried and I thought, and I mean, you could say with the titanium bolsters that's going to wear pretty good, especially without a pocket clip, it just being down in your pocket, and it's in there with your keys or, you know, something else that you carry. That titanium is going to get, you know, boogered up pretty well. And so if that's something that you don't like, that may be something to think about. But you know what? You just put this in a leather slip, in a leather slip, and problem solved. It's going to protect it. So, I mean, yes, the fact that the bolsters are titanium may, you know, I mean, they're going to show wear. So if that's not something you like, but you know, like I said, you throw it in a leather slip and not a problem. The ram's horn right here, right by this screw. Let me see if I can get it to kind of, you can see there how it's kind of, I mean, but this is a natural material and that's why this is that way. There's kind of a dip there, it kind of feels like there's a little bit of a chunk missing there, but like I said, it's a natural material. So that's just how ram's horns are. You're going to have that sometimes, but you might say they should have used, you know, just a nice clean little slab there to do that. But you know, I think that adds character personally. I mean, that's how you know that's a natural material, is that right there, that it's not perfect. Something else, I know we're kind of doing cons here, but something else is you can take this apart. That's a pro. You can take this apart. A lot of traditional folders are going to be pinned shut, and so you can't really take them apart. This, you know, you get yourself a little Torx, and you can take this apart. And so that's good. That right there. Also the ram's horn, it's going to be different for every knife because, again, it is a natural material. So if you have one, it's not going to look exactly like this because it took it from a different part of the horn, you know, a different section as they're slicing that up to put these on here. And so it's going to look different. And so, again, those are a couple of pros that I kind of forgot that just came back to me, but there you go. Like, there's just not a lot of negatives, guys. There's just not. This is, if you are someone who likes traditional style knives, but want the convenience of modern materials where you're not having to wipe down your blade all the time because it's a carbon steel blade, here you go. M390 titanium, but you still get a little bit of the traditional with the ram's horn there. And so overall, this is the best slip joint knife that I've ever handled. And I have in my personal collection quite a few case knives. I have some Rough Rider knives. I've had buck, I've had Schrade. I've had some GECs and knives, which are kind of one of the standards when it comes to traditional style slip joint folders and whatnot. I've had some GECs and Northwoods and all that, and this is the nicest one that I've ever handled, for sure. And I can say that, you know, confidently, hands down, this is the nicest traditional slip joint style folder that I've ever handled. So if you're someone who likes that, pick this up at $125. That's a great price. Buy one. Buy one. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Give me a thumbs down if you hated it. Let me know down in the comments what you liked, what you disliked. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time that I put out a new video. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye.